like the Ferris Bueller after credits bonus here.
I will show this one more time. I mean, look at the quality of this. That's the other thing. Pirate Press, who made our product. You know, this thing is amazing, man. Just the quality of it. So, you know, even just as a collectible, even if you don't have vinyl, I encourage everyone to go out and get it. And the blue's up on the website now too. So we got red and we got blue. All the original ones are gone. I don't even have one at the moment.
I could not agree more. You know, and here I've got the just the plain old classic black and white.
Yeah, and go and grab those, you know, because there's not a lot left. I mean, I did a very modest run of CDs. Let's put it that way. It's just for the fans. And we may do a bigger, you know, sort of similar thing that we did with the vinyl and do like a bigger distribution of it. But if we do that, it'll be different. That's the other thing I've been trying to do, or I am doing, is I'm making sure. That's why we're changing the colors, you know, so that everything has a limit. It has a set amount, and that's it. You know, and then they'll be probably on eBay for $200 at some point. Hopefully, not hopefully, but you know, that's how it works.
I will just for the record, I will never sell this ever.
Well, I hope everybody feels that way, because those are for the fans, you know.
Well, thanks again for doing it for us and for you as well. I know it's got to be, you know, whether it's cathartic or just the joy that it brings to revisit your musical relationship with Michael. Thank you so much.
I know it keeps him alive. He feels like he's with me every day, and you know, over 20. Well, it's been it'll be 30 years since he passed in 2027.
Yeah.
But you know, there's been periods where, you know, he's been sort of front and center, and I've been working on stuff, and then there's been times where it's sort of been off to the side for a bit. But ever since the release, it's like every day he's with me. So, you know, it's great. And again, all really because of you guys and the fans. I mean, that's what's made it a success in that sense. You know, has been the response and the way it's been embraced.
I'm sounding like a broken vinyl, but thank you yet again. I as has been testified enough, I can never get enough NXS or Hutch, and it's allowed me to go back and even discovering I think it was the podcast on YouTube shared the Speed Kills song, the solo song he did from the movie Freedom in '82, and just hearing more, it's people just shaking the cobwebs out, and we're getting more and more stuff and more great music from him, and you guys are doing it, and as long as I'm still breathing, I'm going to keep getting new/old music from Hutch.
Yeah, especially for the younger generation, like, you know, the people that say under 40, because it's funny, you know, most people you say, do you know who NXS is? And most people say, oh, yeah. But if they say no, all I have to do is go, come on, dude, you know who they are. Oh, yeah, I know those guys. I mean, you can't escape. You can go to Trader Joe's and they're playing NXS. Like, you know, So it's that awareness. It's putting the two and two together, you know. So, you know, if it helps.
I can't remember if I brought up this specific story the last time, but if they're as an umpire, there's a lot of the younger kids. They play a lot of there's the walk up music or in between innings music, which I tell the DJs, the parent DJs, you want to stay on my good side, you play Bruno Mars, Weird Al Yankovic, or NXS. And the ladies' faces, the mom's faces light up when I say NXS. I say, or if you want to, or just I don't remember. Is it? Do me a favor, play Dua Lipa, whatever her breakup song is, the one "Break My Heart." Play that one because that samples NXS. And then they play. Oh yeah, I remember that now. So even just creak that door open with "Need You Tonight" via Dua Lipa, the door opens and then the floodgates happen from there. Next thing they're playing "Devil Inside."
Well, getting back what I was. I mean, you guys want to keep going, right? I don't mind. More content, the better, right? That's at the heart of what I was talking about with his fan base. I mean, you know, there's a whole generation of women who, quite frankly, you know, were in love with Michael. And he had a very unique effect on people because, like you said, I mean, it's the guys wanted to be him, women wanted to be with him, cliche. But it was a little more than that because I think what sort of, and it's funny how you hear, like, people will always, as a record producer, my job is to understand the personality and all the ingredients that go into making and translate whatever's in their heart and soul and head and get it out so that those two things are in sync. And when it's a new artist, you're trying to define that and figure it out. But when it's somebody like Michael Hutchence, you know, if anything, it was like expanding on what was already there, because very few artists have that. But what he had is, if anything, there was so many more places he could go. You know what I mean? Like creatively and as a singer, he had a range. And I don't mean the range of like high, you know, C to low C. His creative range, what he could pull off and what he could like legitimately deliver, like stylistically or whatever, there were no limits to that. And
he knew when to whisper and get directly in your ear, and then he knew when to go with the bombast. Absolutely.
Because certain singers need certain things going on around for their what they have, their little package to work. And Michael's range in that sense, meaning, you know, he could have really like, and I went a little harder on the guitars and tried to be a little more aggressive than say In Excess might have been pushing that out a little bit. Same on the electronica side. So on every spectrum, our only rule was that there were no rules and we would just follow wherever the music took us with no fear. And you feel what's right and where, you know, what sticks and, you know, this not so much, and let's go down this path. So that's part of why I'm so confident in everything I've been doing since he passed, because he gave me a rock solid sort of like, you know, feeling of what we had a really good, what's the right way to put it? We had a really solid sort of like fundamental understanding or connection creatively. So I know what feels right because he trusted my instincts and I trusted his, you know, so.
Oh, and, you know, and again, just going back and re-listening to the eponymous album, you feel the rapport between you guys. And I mentioned it on one of the the YouTube thing. I just said, you can hear your influence all over Elegantly Wasted. And that's such a good companion piece to Michael's solo album. So yeah, the rapport is definitely there. Love it.
Well, that's cool. That's a nice compliment. I mean, I always say I wish Elegantly Wasted was one of the ones I got to do with him, but that's a good tune, man.
And unofficially, Danny, you're on that album.
So apropos for again, that's such a great example of what made Michael great, because you hear people, what I was starting to say before is, oh, he's so great if he could only be this or he could only be that, you know, or she could only be this or she could only get. No, you have to embrace, you have to take everything that the artist is and embrace that and own that shit. And part of what I think led to Michael's demise is that he was so empathetic and he had such a ability. You know, I never saw the guy like misuse his power, so to speak, you know, because when you're a rock star of that magnitude, you have a lot of power over people. You could literally tell somebody to jump off a building and probably half of them would do it, you know, fans. And he never abused that. But that empathy and that, you know, ability to feel and just awareness of what, you know, was going on around him, and then to be able to sort of, you know, process that and then spit it back out as art, you know, also leaves you vulnerable to certain people and things and situations. So it's sort of a double-edged sword, you know. He didn't know how to say no sometimes when maybe he needed to look out for number one, you know. So, but that's what made him who he was. So you can't really get rid of one thing and then it wouldn't have been him. It would have been a different, you know, outcome. If that makes sense.
There's one thing I wanted to get, I didn't touch on the last time we talked, and this is coming from, I had a closed head injury, much like Michael did, and I know what it was like to ramp up those emotions, and especially in the aftermath of it, and I just know how tumultuous it was for those guys for In Excess when they were recording Full Moon Dirty Hearts on Capri, I think it was. But and correct me if I'm wrong here. You said when you worked with him, you didn't have any of those heightened emotions. Is that correct, or did you see the way the pendulum can swing with people with head injuries?
Well, right. Well, first of all, you have to put it in the context of the time we live. First of all, I didn't even know about it. And I think part of it was like, because that was an era when it wasn't this glorification of victimhood, and you know, you couldn't wait to you hid that stuff. It's just like, you know, that was the culture. And especially with Michael. He wasn't one who would lend it like to complaining or anything. But that was a serious, serious situation, you know. And what I saw was quite the opposite. You know, when he got weird, it was more he went internal, you know. But everybody knew, he wasn't not talking to me, you know, or us, or everybody knew he needed a break. Everybody knew he was under a tremendous amount of pressure. There was enough on the surface going on that didn't, you know, I mean, I kind of wish I didn't know that, but I don't know if it would have made any difference at the time, you know, what he was. I mean, for a person like Michael Hutchence to lose their sense of taste and their sense of smell, I don't know if the average person can understand. I mean, for anybody that would suck, but for him, his whole existence, I mean, that's the cornerstone of everything he's about, you know. But what I saw was more an introverted, like when you know, sort of more of a darker, internalized thing. It wasn't lashing out at me. I mean, and I'm sure part of it, you know, was even though we got a solid 2 years together, which is a lifetime when you're collaborating with somebody, it was plenty of time. You know, I was a young, you know, I was seeing the world through his eyes and he was seeing the world through my eyes. And it was such a, you know, just because of where we were, I would say if I had met him at the stage of the career I'm at now, I probably wouldn't have been any good to him. You know, the whole thing was I was young, I was on the upswing, I had this cool record, was helping, giving him credibility. And most importantly, we really connected, you know, creatively. Like I really genuinely dug him and what we were doing. And that includes Andy Gill, you know, and it was a good, like sort of a package. And then our relationship evolved into what it was. But you know, Andy should be recognized too, at least initially was there. And they had a really solid batch of material. And it was a great dynamic, the three of us, you know, and John X, our engineer. So we had a great little team, you know, and it was sort of a family vibe. And, you know, Michael always looked after me because I was in London, you know, he was, you know, he's taking care of me. That's why I'm in this position to release it, because Michael self-financed all of this stuff. There was no label behind any of this. That's how much it mattered to him. And that's how much, like how important it was to him, but also, you know, he wanted to maintain control because he had a bad experience with Max Q, and he needed to do this. You know, he needed to do this, and it's nothing, no knock on the band. He wasn't going anywhere, in my opinion. I mean, Excess, you know, if he had lived, in Excess would be like no different than look how beautiful Duran Duran's doing, you know. Fantastic for them. They're great guys and they deserve it. You know, they just went in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They got a viable touring. You know, they're out to go out.
Yeah, I'm convinced NXS would have carried along the same path.
There's only 50 bands like that now. I don't know how many there are, maybe not 50 in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you know what I mean? That are those. So I could see it no different. You know, I just would have been nice to see, you know, where he could have gone, because the solo thing was important to him, but it was never about, I don't think, an either or situation. It just was something he needed to do creatively. And if we had the opportunity to really see it through together, I have no doubt at the very least, you know, it would have stood on its own and like been solid and successful. And In Excess would have never gone anywhere. It would have been, you know, just would have given him another outlet, like movies and acting and those other things, you know.
And this is not a knock on Def Leppard, who I love, or Journey, also love. But I could see a mega tour going on with you two in NXS right now, a stadium tour.
Imagine the possibility.
Much cooler.
And my attitude with all those bands, like Def Leppard guys, I've been lucky enough to meet. God, man, singer
Joe Elliott.
Joe Elliott. I mean, what a dude, bro! It's almost like I almost look at the music business like the mafia, let's say. So the ultimate like Dons are Mick and Keith, right? Maybe McCartney. Yeah. But McCartney always says they cashed it in, baby. They were done by 69, 68. They stopped touring. They weren't a fucking band. You know, the Stones held the mantle. Then U2, and like, you know, even and Def Leppard in their own way. It's all these little factions, you know. So I always see myself like in Goodfellas, like Henry. I'm like an associate, you know. I'm not a main guy. I'm an associate. You know what I mean?
You're keeping your hands dirty, but not too dirty.
Yeah. Maybe they open up the books for me one of these days, you know?
Are you Sicilian? Then we're getting then you in. You gotta be Sicilian.
Yeah. Well, maybe in the
Okay,
music business.
that's a good fellow's path we don't want to go down with me. I'll go get my silk screen shirt.
We'll get your shine box.
Bunch of Goombas. Well, again, Dan, I'm glad we got bonus time now. This has been so cool. Thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Do some shit with it, man.
Well, again, Dan, cheers. Thank you so much for all the tunes, and have an awesome day, man.
You too, guys. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Take care, Danny.
That was some cool bonus shit.
Heck yeah, man.
All over the place, where the fun sanity never ends.